the Liberty Elementary School District Governing Board meeting for February 26, 2024. Here at the Jerry Rovey facility, we have our board members present, Vice President Parks, Board Member Bixler, Board Member Kenyon, and myself, Michael Todd. Next item of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Board Member Kenyon, can you please lead us?
Stand and remove your hat, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Members, our next item of business is item 3.3, approval of the regular agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the regular agenda consistent with board policy BEDB and temporarily suspend the governing board policy, which with this agenda may be inconsistent.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member, Vice President Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that approved. 4 yes, 0 no. Next on our agenda is our governing board report. Vice President Parks.
I have nothing today, Mr. President.
Board Member Bixler.
Yeah, I kind of like focus on Blue Horizons for the last time. I had the opportunity to be out there twice in one day. The first time we went out, it was a part of a group of us folks who went out to celebrate success in the classroom. One of our teachers there, Christina Garcia, had gotten a huge gift from Sun Tech Concrete, and it was just a thrill. Had the great fun along with the president, Michael Todd, to distract Ms. Garcia so she could get the stuff in her classroom before she came back. So we had a lot of fun doing that, learned a lot about Ms. Garcia and her movement here to Liberty, which was a really good thing to do. And then to see her receive the gifts and the joy of the kids in the classroom for all the materials that SunTech provided for our students was just terrific. So that was great. The second thing I went to that day was a Champs Carnival that was going on the campus, and it just huge. Lots of stuff going on as you would expect, but did have an academic focus. It was really good in that respect. The two things I enjoyed the most was, first of all, watching the principal get dunked in the dunk tank. I thought that was hilarious. Took a while, but eventually did get wet. It appears that you have dried out since then, so I'm glad to see that because you looked pretty wet when I left. And I didn't get to see it happen, but I did get to see the board president preparing to go into the dunk tank. And the one emotion I could see on the face was cold. I think he knew he was going to get cold. It was hesitant to get involved. Nonetheless, it was definitely a Blue Horizons day for me, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Mr. President, I have nothing.
You guys are making it easy. Board Member Bixler, I can confirm that look on my face was correct. It was pretty cold. As you mentioned, it was an exciting time to see Ms. Garcia win that award. A new teacher in our district, first year teaching here, and she's actually applied for 2 different grants, has received them both. So great things are happening up there at that campus. It's very exciting to see, and I just would also like to thank the leadership of that campus for really communicating with us and letting us know when things are happening on their campus. It's fantastic. With that, also this past Friday, I attended well, let's talk a little bit more about the Champs Night too. Yes, it was cold. I thought we would try to outsmart them and offer pizza with the president. That was a bust. But I was offering free pizza with myself and Mr. Naminsky to any student that wanted to surrender his ball and his or her ball. It had one taker, and I drank many more gallons of water going in. So it was a valiant effort on my part, but it didn't work so well. But it was a ton of fun, and Mr. Naminsky was nice enough to schedule me right as the sun was going down. The breeze was coming through. Ooh, maybe we should do that in July next year. But it was a good time. This past Friday, I attended our first round of customer service training here in the district with a lot of our office staff from the district and the campuses. Very positive. Super excited to see us roll out. new and improved customer service plans across the district, where it's something we really haven't done in the past. And this is going to arm all of our staff with a much better approach to customer service, which in turn serves our stakeholders, be that our internal stakeholders or external. We're all at some point in time a customer of the district. So that was great as well. And aside from that, that's about all I have to report on at this time. Our next up will be item 5.1, school newsletters. Dr. Monroe.
President Todd, Vice President Parks, members of the board, attached here are the 7 school newsletters for the month of March. If the board has seen those and able to review those, and if they have any questions, we can answer those. We have spring break coming in just a few weeks. However, there's a lot of exciting things happening in March as the weather starts to warm up.
Members, any questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move to item 5.3, an IT update for Mr. Marino, our Executive Director of Technology Services. Oops, sorry. 5.2, Governing Board and Superintendent recognitions. That's an important one. My apologies. Dr. Monroe.
Yeah, President Todd and Vice President Park, members of the board. As we've talked about in the past, our favorite part of the board meeting is being able to recognize the excellent students that we serve day in and day out. We're so proud of them. And so we'd like to recognize 8 wonderful students of the month from around our district. And President Todd, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, board members, if you'll join us up front, we'll go forward. So first of all, thank you for everybody who attends tonight. You should greatly be proud of your students. We talk about this every month, and it truly is one of the joys of being on the board. The students, each month we recognize one exceptional student, and then we rotate each campus as well one month, and we recognize 2. So a little bit about this. We want to recognize 8 students from across our 7 schools. They personify the values that make the Liberty Elementary School District unique and special. These values are excellence and integrity. Excellence is exhibiting talent or quality that is unusually good and surpasses ordinary standards. They have high integrity in doing the right thing, honestly. They work hard and exhibit caring. Because of their hard work and caring attributes, they make their school and classrooms a better place. Thank you to our students and their families for joining us. When I call your name, students, if you'd come up here, shake our hands, we got a certificate for you. And at the very end, we'll all get together like a big family and take a photo. So parents, again, I can't thank you for being model parents who are raising model kids. In this day and age, we're lucky as parents. We didn't grow up in this day and age. It's a lot harder out there. We get the joy of going into some classrooms and seeing all that goes on, and they're busy. And to see the great students, and I know these students as well as the other ones are there picking up other kids when they're having a down day, if they need help with the math or English, picking up trash. It's really amazing to see how many great students we have. So you guys are great. But what makes you greater is that you're great amongst a big pool of great students. So you're up there. The competition is steep to be nominated, and when there's only one at a time coming, it's a really big deal for you. So with that, we'd like to recognize our first one, and although this is fun, sometimes it's also a challenge to pronounce everybody's names. I think I'm fairly safe tonight. But first one up will be Kaylee Sims from Blue Horizons. Representing Estrella Mountain is Allison McWhorter. From Freedom Elementary, Gabriel Flores. Congratulations. He's going to take his certificate and run. You're perfect right there. There's always one that really makes us great. He might win the award tonight. Las Brisas Academy's representative is Alexis Hernandez. Alexa Hernandez. All right, the names are getting a little tougher, but I think I'm safe. From Liberty Elementary, Victoria Becerra Barrera. Close. Congratulations. From Rainbow Valley Elementary, Valentina Mantasius. Okay, from West Star Elementary, their first one will be Gracelyn Kano. Okay, she's not here. We still appreciate all she does. And last, Zanaya McKeithen. So if one more time you guys can outdo yourself and give one really big loud round of applause for the students. And now if you guys will all come here, we'll take a picture with all of you. Just a quick housekeeping announcement. After this is done, we've got to reset the room a little bit with the podium, so we'll take about a 5-minute break and then we'll get started again. Parents, if you want to stay, you can. If you don't, you can take your students and leave. But again, thank you to the students, thank you to the parents and the staff who helps all these children be so successful.
And we want to get a picture with everybody outside too, okay? With mom and dad and your siblings. Take outside. Can we take a picture with all of you? That'd be awesome. Thank you. Come on, Abby, you gotta go too. I went to the back of
Okay, we're ready to proceed with item 5.3, our IT update by Mr. John Marino.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Monroe, and staff and family that are here. Thank you for staying for the technology update. Usually everybody vacates the building when we start talking. But anyway, thank you so much for staying through this. So the three items we're going to catch up on tonight is the download speed we're having in this room, and actually it turned out it was more than that, and guest Wi-Fi, and then guest Wi-Fi calling. So the download speed issue that we were tracking down for quite a bit of time has since been resolved. I won't go into the boring details because there's a lot of acronyms that won't mean anything, but the one that you can see right there is QoS, and basically that's a quality of service. And what was happening is that was installed, which wouldn't allow large size packets to come down. It throttled them without us knowing. So that has since been removed, and we verified that actually across the district. And the only place it was here at the district office. So sort of good news, bad news kind of thing. So that's it. We're still going to continue to monitor this just in case something else creeps up, but that's where we stand on this one. Guest Wi-Fi. We're going to explore the guest Wi-Fi a little deeper and make an overall plan to allow guest Wi-Fi across the board. One of the things that we need to make sure of is that once we start allowing staff on there, that we encourage people to keep their updates on their devices, because that allows that security piece to always be locked in there. We will be using some E-rate to expand to all the classroom buildings as well to allow the guest Wi-Fi there. We cover the district-owned devices with various tools that run there. So I won't go into the details on that, but that is taken care of on all district-owned devices. We will limit guest bandwidth, guest Wi-Fi during testing times, because we don't want those things to impact students when they're testing. So we'll get with Ed Services and tie down that schedule and make sure that we lock it down on those days. It takes a little bit of work to configure all this, as you can imagine, because we configure it at the access point level, which are those crazy things sticking out of the ceiling sometimes. So, but we have control modules that allow us to center it on one and send the data out, but then you have to do some testing. So all the other network speeds between the schools is something that we have to look into, and there's a couple of plans that we're looking at to possibly migrate to. And then the other thing we were really digging into, and I talked with some of my peers around the state, is bandwidth. Bandwidth, as you can imagine, becomes an issue. We already have our own devices on the network, but then you start adding additional devices and things start slowing down. So as long as we can keep up with the speed and making sure that everybody has that speed that they need, and we restrict it during testing times, and make sure that there's not a lot of unwanted data coming up and down, we will make sure that that happens. And we'll just keep you guys updated on the board, on the speed of the network and where we're capping out on various days. I'll get that to you at least once a month on that data. The next piece is the Wi-Fi calling. So this is in addition to the guest network. In order to have the Wi-Fi calling, you have to have the guest network in place to support it. So once we get that side done, we will implement this side. We will get the testing in place. We will work with some staff right out of the gate to make sure that they can see, and they'll modify our instructions, make sure everything works for them, and then we'll go from there. You know, we plan to do a lot of testing and things just to make sure that we're not impacting our day-to-day operations with these solutions. So our next step is we'll continue to monitor with the tools we have. Another acronym, I know. We will, you know, we continue to monitor the speed, if we're having latency issues, different things like that. We have a company that is assisting us with some of this packet shaping. In fact, they were the ones that assisted us with the tracking down the QoS issue here as well. All right. And with technology, it's always changing, right? We've come a long way in a few years, and I've been in education quite a long time doing this. So before, there was very limited with AS400 and some of those crazy things, and now we're completely different environments now. So, but again, we'll monitor. I will provide updates to you so that you know where we're at and what's going on. Just a quick look. Pictures are worth 1,000. I don't know. We have 1,000. We have a gigabyte up there. Actually, we have 2 gigabytes, but we're only actually capped at what, 1.2? Well, yeah, 1.2 gig is where we're peaking out at this point. We monitor with some other tools that are listed down there below. And as you can see, it wouldn't be very fun to watch that all day. So we have alarms that are set on those. So if we peak at a certain target, then Rob and I get alerted, and then we go and see what that packet or what's going on the network. All right, that's it for me. You got any questions for me?
Board members, any questions? Vice President
I've got
Parks?
just one, and I know we discussed it a little bit, but I thought I'd bring it up publicly here. So, as I'm aware, we have kind of one pipe in and out of the district, and one of the ways to solve our bandwidth issues, obviously, is to have a pipe out of each school itself. Using VPN networks, is that one of the things you're researching? And I think that honestly, I think that would solve a lot of our problems as far as bandwidth goes.
Yeah, it is definitely. We're partnered with Cox right now, and the new company A&M that we're working with also brought it up. It's called SD-WAN, and basically it's every campus is its own network, and we have a tunnel between each network to get back to us here or at headquarters. And then that we would have to put a firewall in place at each location. And so there's other things that need to occur, but then the speed is not happening across the WAN. It's going to stay local for probably a good percentage of the traffic that's located there.
I look forward to seeing that. Thank you
Right.
very much, John.
Yes, sir.
Board member Bixler, any questions?
My question really dealt with bandwidth as well. It looked like the suggestion was we have 12 gigabytes and we have 1.2. Is that what I heard?
We have 2 gigabytes right now.
Okay.
We're peaking out at 1.2 at this point.
And then the recommendation from the vendors that you contacted was that we should be at 12 gigabytes?
Yeah, they do this calculation. How true this calculation is, it's 2.49 megabytes per student or per staff member. And you know that once you start adding all those in, and then you start adding additional guest environments, your network starts expanding on the bandwidth.
Yeah, and my question was really how do we do that? How do we get a 12 gigabyte bandwidth? But it sounds like you've already discussed that.
And if we change that, it changes the dynamic of what we're going to be putting in place.
Okay.
So the pipes won't need to be as big outbound because the traffic is coming out of each individual location.
Can I throw one other thing in there? If you have a pipe going out of every school, you actually have we have at least 8 points. Your failover goes down because you can actually pull off of another district if you have a failover point.
Yeah, we can reroute traffic based on that.
So our outages in schools would dissipate dramatically. I think that's really the direction we need to go.
All right. And we're going to build that plan out, and then we'll
have more discussion with you guys so you can see it.
Great.
Board Member Kenyon.
No comment other than I just glad to see the progress that's being made. So thank you to the IT department, and I look forward to seeing what other solutions we have and come up with. So thank you.
Yeah, we just finished Illuminate testing district-wide, and that seemed to go pretty well. This is sort of our gauge for how AASA is going to go. So we monitored that traffic pretty well, and we peaked out, like I said, at 1.2 gig on a 2 gig pipe. So for now, we're okay.
Okay, thank you for your update. I do want to thank you and your staff for meeting with us, just looking at upgrades for this room in the future. For those of you that don't know, we have a new monitor that we can actually see. It's not flickering. It's much brighter. I think we went from a couple lumens, like 2 to 6,000. So
Yeah.
it's going to help us a lot up here. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is item 6.1, public comment. Just like to remind everybody, Arizona Open Meeting Law 38431.01 states the governing board may conduct an open call to the public, but may not discuss or take legal action on a matter raised during a call to the public unless the matter has been placed on the meeting agenda. This is a time for the public to comment. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Individual comment will be limited to 3 minutes. We now have the podium over here. You'll have a timer that will go off at 3 minutes, and we'll start with Miss Wendy Merkel.
Hello, I am Wendy Merkel. I am a teacher in our district at Westar, but I am also a mom of students in Liberty Elementary, as well as a homeowner in the Estrella Mountain community. And I come tonight with a change of plan. I had originally come to discuss the support of our assistant principal, Amanda Lovelace, whom you will hear a number of teachers speak to tonight, and about our support of her maintaining her position as our superintendent. However, today in the middle of my class, assistant principal. However, today in the middle of my class day, I was taken out of class by our superintendent to discuss a text message string that I had on my personal phone, on my personal time on Sunday, about coming to this meeting today. And they were given, and all of the teachers were pulled from their classrooms during the class day to discuss why we would have, frankly, the audacity to be discussing the superintendent's role in the hiring and firing of the leadership in our school. I am concerned with this because at the end of this, while we did have an open discussion and I felt heard, so I appreciated that, what I was handed was the documentation and the expectations of behavior in the district, of which, and this is what I'm coming to the board today to ask, if issues arise, there is a chain of command, which we are always supposed to follow, and I'm a part of the teacher advisory group. We discuss this regularly. It is understood. However, in this regard, it was not appropriate for me to go to my assistant principal, as she was the one on topic for not being hired or renewed for the position after over a decade of service to our community. And then on top of that, then we go up the hierarchical chain, and then that goes to my superintendent, Dr. Monroe. When the issue arises with Dr. Monroe, there is no recourse outside of the board. This board, as we have had many discussions over the years, privately and publicly, the board has asked that teachers make sure that our voices are publicly acknowledged and that that acknowledgement needs to happen at board meetings. I discussed this with Dr. Monroe and let him know that that history put us in front of you, but there is nothing in the policy currently for teachers or staff or admin who have conflicts of interest or conflicts with our superintendent, and this arises from our last superintendent, the superintendent before that, and currently. I am looking to the board to please consider including in the conversation and in the future documentation of how our contracts and communication handles, that includes what to do with the superintendent. In my last 20 seconds, I would like to advocate again that we have an amazing leader in Amanda Lovelace. She has turned her last decade of work towards the Estrella community, and as a parent and as a homeowner, I would expect to see that to continue, and I hope that this board will consider that in the future. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kristen Graham.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I have a statement that I would like to read that has been signed by 33 members of Westar staff.
For the record, can you please specify the names that are on that? That would be part of the public record.
I have this document to turn in to you.
We're doing minutes recording, so for the public
will
that's not here or
attempt
doesn't see it.
Read all of the names that I can. The statement first is, Dear Liberty Elementary School District Governing Board, first, please understand that
Ma'am,
Westar.
before you do this, we have announced your name. I need you to announce the names that have signed that letter as well.
Okay, it's been signed by Kristen Graham, Janelle Moran, Becky Nagabauer, Amy McCubbins, Tara Archer, Shauna Madison, Brittany Ortiz, Melissa Eastman, Trish Lyle, Brittany Dickens, Carly Ray, Loretta Toole, Mike Normoyle, Melissa Gallegos, Heidi Rabe, Sean Geraci, Alex Leva, Kim Day, Sarah Potter, Nicole Paduano, Michelle Welch, Wendy Merkel, Michelle Benitez, and the remaining names I cannot decipher. First, please understand that Westar is a unique school that is truly more of a family than a workplace. One of the highest standards educators can set for themselves is to ask, would I want my own child at that school? At Westar, 36 current staff members have children or grandchildren who attend or who have attended Westar. Clearly, we believe in Westar as a place we would comfortably enroll our own children. We know what is best for our school, and Amanda Lovelace is in a position of leadership is best for our own children and all other children who attend Westar. For this reason, you can imagine our shock and concern to learn that she was not offered the position of principal at Westar for next school year after having been recommended by the committee. In addition, we are concerned by rumors that she is not even going to continue as Westar's assistant principal. Both of these decisions are detrimental to a school that is working hard to elevate our work as a professional learning community in order to move all students forward in their education. Ms. Lovelace has been an integral part in this process, and we have current plans and work that have begun under her leadership that will suffer if she does not return on our leadership team. Ms. Lovelace is a dedicated professional. While she would make an excellent principal, she would also work tirelessly to support anyone else put into that position. The faculty and staff at Westar who have signed this document implore the governing board and Dr. Monroe to allow Amanda Lovelace
Your
to
time has
continue
expired.
the leadership team at Westar. Can I give this to?
You can give it to the board secretary. Okay, members, next up is item 7.1, approval of the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. President, I'd like to pull an item.
Okay, we have a motion already on the floor. We'll need a second, and then we can have discussion, and we can request that at that time. Do you have a second? Ms. Bixler, you can second it to advance this forward if you would like, and then
I'm
we can
sorry,
have
what?
discussion. You can second this if you would like, which would then open up discussion, and then you could request the amendment if you want to second it.
No.
Okay. I will second the motion. Now we can have discussion.
Mr. President, I'd like to pull an item.
Okay, we can discuss that.
Item 7.3.
Board Member Parks, you have made the motion. Board Member Bixler has requested that we pull 7.3. You can amend your motion or you can carry it forward.
Mr. President, I'll amend the motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 7.3.
Okay. Do I have a second for that? I will again.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 7.3. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Vice President Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that it approved 4-0. We'll move to item 7.3, which is the approval of personnel action items. Board Member Bixler, if you will lead us off.
Yeah, there are a couple of things that caught my interest. The first is the non-renewal of a group of the teachers that are here, and it appears they're on emergency certification. My question is, I understand that the effective date of the termination of the staff members is in May. Does that mean that they could possibly complete what's required of them to meet that requirement under emergency certification? So these are not necessarily locked into stone?
So the ones that are non-renewal, just those, is it 2, 4, 6, about 8. These are locked into stone that they won't be renewed, but that doesn't mean that they cannot reapply for next year. They still could be eligible to reapply for it for the next school year.
Was there a deadline on when they needed to meet that requirement? And
Those
they
are-
just didn't meet the requirement within the set time? Okay, so it wasn't like the end of the school year, it was before
Right.
now. So,
There's only a set time that we are allowed to give. It's 2 years initially and then 1 additional year. And that's from the ADE. We're not allowed to give.
right. And
additional
so these
time for
guys
that.
are actually a couple years in?
So it would depend. Some of them, yes. Some have not made adequate progress. One of the things that the ADE says is you have to be making adequate progress to get that certification within those 3 years. Some people are not even in a program right now. And that's required that you're in a program and at least working towards that, and some are not.
And I assume we've been supportive of their efforts and stuff, made resources available for all these people. They've had every opportunity.
Have. Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure on that.
Absolutely.
The second thing is the 3 people that are being recommended for termination due to cause. There's lots of reasons for a teacher to be removed because of cause. I don't believe that the reason that these people are being identified is reason for cause, so I will not support that.
Dr. Monahorn, I had just a clarifying question. Towards the certified staff, where it says reason, just can you explain what terminating contract means? I see that is also at the end of the year, but what?
So anyone that is hired the first day of school or later is automatically on a terminating contract, means it's just for that year. That is something that's automatic regardless, just because of the timeline. That, again, they can still apply for next year, but when they're hired on this terminating contract because they started the first day of school or later.
Thank you.
Members, any additional questions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve item 7.3.
Motion to approve item 7.3.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve item 7.3. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Vice President Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
Nay.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that approved 3 yes, 1 no. Moving on to item 8, discussion consideration to approve Mr. Carlos Arden for the Freedom Elementary Principal for school year 24-25. Dr. Mahorn.
It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Carlos Ardon. We are bringing him this evening. It's a recommendation to hire for the next Freedom Elementary principal. We're really excited. He has some background that he wants to share with you and just talk with you about 60 seconds just to share how excited and honored he is about this opportunity.
Well, good evening, I can't speak right now. So good evening, President Todd, members of the governing board, Dr. Monroe. I am really honored and humbled to be standing in front of you today to be considered for the position of principal at Freedom Elementary. I've been an educator in Arizona for 22 years. I have been a teacher. I was a teacher for 10 years. And then after that, I became a district administrator, school administrator. I have had the privilege to be a school principal for the last 6 years. Right now, recently, actually, as of now, in Phoenix as a pre-K through 8 principal, where I get to lead an amazing community in Central Phoenix. And since I moved to Buckeye, I want to avoid that commute as much as possible. And I actually have 4 children as well who will be attending school here in the West Valley as soon as our oldest graduates from high school. But I'm here to tell you that, again, I truly believe in Arizona education. I being just an educational leader in all of our public schools. I have had the honor to work with many teachers, many families, and I can't wait to meet the community at Freedom Elementary if given the opportunity. And I'm just really excited to work with a group of, teachers, family members who have the same goal to help our students become the best they can be and be learners, because just like I want my kids to, to have the best possible future in this beautiful country, I want that for all of our kids here, especially here in the West Valley, since it's my home now. So I used to live in Avondale, then I moved to Phoenix, then I moved back to the West Valley, because it's where it's my heart is. So I don't know if I did over 60 minutes, but I can be here forever. But, I'm excited about this opportunity, and I hope you consider it me, and, looking forward to it. So.
Members, any questions? Mr. Ardone. Okay, hearing none, you're off the hot seat for a minute. We'll call for a motion in a second.
I should have brought my water.
Mr. President? Mr. President, I move that we approve Carlos Arden for the position of principal of Freedom Elementary School for the school year 2024-2025.
Do you have a second?
Second?
Have a motion, a second. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Vice President Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that I approve 4 yes, 0 no. Welcome. You've come west. West is best. Okay, next on our agenda is item 8.2, discussion consideration to approve supplemental resources for history, social studies, ELA, and art.
Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, and governing board members. District administration is recommending the governing board approve Next Gen Personal Finance, High Noon Books, and Flex Curriculum and Pro Learning as supplemental instructional resources. Administration facilitated the Supplemental Resource Committee on December 18th. You will see the minutes from that attached to this board agenda item. The meeting was open to the public. Committee members included teachers, administrators, and parent participants. The purpose and outcome of the committee was to review the quality of supplemental materials and ensure that resources used for instruction meet district criteria. Our outcomes were to review criteria, score supplemental resources, determine resources to recommend for 60-day review. The committee meeting agenda and meeting minutes were posted using board docs. Committee members previewed the materials and scored each resource using a rubric of criteria for supplementary resources. During the meeting, committee members discussed the merits and/or possible concerns with each resource. Each of the resources listed were recommended based on a consensus of the committee that reviewed these resources. All of these resources were put on 60-day review starting December 20th and ending February 16th to gather public input on each of the resources. No public feedback was received. Upon board approval, a list of approved supplemental resources will be put on our district website.
Members, any questions?
Mr. President, I have a statement more than anything. Hallelujah, we're bringing personal finance into KAs. I love it. I love to see stuff like this, and anything more we can bring to our curriculum or our environment that teaches kids how to just live their daily lives and how to have success. And, you know, we're not just about getting kids to college. We've got to teach them the fundamentals of daily life. And I thumbed through that book, and it's good. So good job, and I love to see it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Just one question. We had a 60-day review. Did we have anybody from the public review these documents? We always offer it, and rarely do we have anybody look.
We did not have any feedback on the 60-day
Awesome.
review.
Okay. I would just like to thank all the staff that takes time to look at this. It was eye-opening over the past year as we've got to sit in and see some of the reviews and the kind of tug-of-war back and forth sometimes between staff. They all want the same thing. Sometimes they see one item better than the others, but it's great to see them work on this. The time commitment is quite large, and then teachers who oftentimes are kind of our beta testers early on, if you will. It's tough. We've been on some campuses. We walk in and it's their first day teaching new material, and they're prepared and they do a great job. So with that, I just want to thank the staff for all their work. It's great that we have so many staff members who want to be a part of being a part of this exciting time of having updated curriculum, updated supplemental materials. So I've said thank you a bunch of times. I'm going to say it one more time, and with that, I'll take a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we approve Next Generation Personal Finance, High Noon Books, and the Flex Curriculum and Pro Learning as supplemental instructional resources for history, social studies, ELA, and art.
Have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve items 8.2. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Vice President Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also, I will show that approved 4 yes, 0 no. Members, next on the agenda is item 8.3, discussion consideration to approve contract language for initial, returning, non-continuing, continuing, and terminating certified teacher contracts for school year 24-25. Dr. Mahorn.
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, board members, it is recommended that the governing board approve the following motion. Motion to approve a contract language for initial, returning, non-continuing, continuing, and terminating certified teacher contracts for school year 24-25.
Take a motion, a second, and then we can discuss if there's any discussion.
Mr. President, motion to approve contract language for initial, returning, non-continuing, continuing, and terminating certified teacher contracts for school year 24-25.
I'll second.
Okay, members, we have a motion and a second to approve item 8.3. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President, I believe that the liquidated damages language in our contracts is adversarial in nature, and I don't agree with it.
Do you have proposed language you would like to have see changed?
I would like to remove liquidated damages in total.
Okay, thank you. Staff, I have a couple of questions. One, we had public comment tonight. This contract has been brought before the board previously to look at. Nobody raised any concerns, but there was some concern tonight that we should add some language that allows teachers a process. I'd be willing to table this idea until we work that language in or discuss it. That's going to delay our contract process quite a bit. The other thing I would suggest is that we look at an amendment and we specify that up front, that we could be amending this to add language as Ms. Merkel requested. I'm not assuring that the board will approve that, but what I am saying is we could look at that as an option and then come back with an amendment on that. So that would be my first thing. My other question is, I have heard some discussion that we may be offering extensions to one campus, and I am adamantly against that. Our teachers work for this district. They don't work for a school specifically. I do not think it's fair to give any extensions for any reason. We have a set process. It's spelled out in state statute as to how many days they have to return their contracts, and I think that we should make sure we're moving forward with that. That issue never came before the board previously to discuss, and I think that's something that we cannot offer if indeed that was what was put out there. And again, I'm only speaking on some words that I heard, I don't typically like to bring that up, but I am concerned, having an open-ended, we have a job fair coming up, and we would greatly reduce our ability at that job fair if we don't know who's returning. So that would be my recommendation, and I would ask the board to consider that.
Mr. President, on your first recommended language change, were you looking for a table or a possible amendment?
No, I think it's in the best interest of our district to move forward with the issuance of contracts. However, I do think we should probably make them aware that the board will discuss the requested information from our teachers, and we may be coming back with an amendment to include that into their contract once legal says that's appropriate.
All right. Mr. President, I'll make a amendment to the motion to approve the contract language for initial returning continuing, and terminating certified teacher contracts for school year 2024, with the possibility of bringing it back before the board with amendment.
I'll remain the second.
Okay. We still have a first and a second. I guess staff, can you advise if the plan was to extend time, and if so, if that's still the process, or if we're going to follow the same guidelines we always have?
Yeah, I'll, President Todd and Vice President Parks, members of the board, our discussion at the Teachers Advisory Group was to consider being very flexible and extending with one of our campuses, Westar, who doesn't have a principal named, so that they had an opportunity to meet their new principal whenever that person might be named. That does make a hardship where obviously teachers could sign other contracts, or it puts it out a little farther, but we thought it was the right thing to do to work with that staff and be flexible. So that was discussed at the Teacher Advisory Group. And President Todd, also one thing, if you, just for clarification's sake for me, can you clarify kind of what you and Vice President Parks are talking about, the amended motion to the language that is kind of being discussed? Just so I'm clear.
My understanding in Ms. Merkel's presentation, her public comment was that there's nothing in their contract that gives them the pathway to address concerns in the situation that they have. And so I think we just need to make sure that that's clarified. If policy has it and legal says it's okay, we're good. If we do need to add that, I'm all for it. Contracts are to protect both sides, and so if we need to add that, that's all I'm asking for, is that we make sure that it's either in policy and we can reference it, or that we add it to the contract.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Mahorn, did I miss anything on that answer? Okay.
No, that was perfect.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
So as I understand it, if we delay this, how long are we delaying this? And we have a job fair in about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
This Saturday.
This Saturday? Yeah, so a week. So we run the risk of not recruiting all the teachers we need if this group decides that they don't want to return. We've kind of cutting our nose off to spite our face, I think, with that extension. Because the potential teachers are going to come to our job fair on Saturday, and we want to grab them because they're going to go to another job fair the next day and the next day. And if they're good, we've got holes that are opening, and I think we're really leaving ourselves into a strange situation. At the end of the day, teachers can theoretically, well, not even theoretically, they can be moved at any time. Their contract doesn't guarantee them any campus. We do our best to do that, and I would encourage staff to continue with that. But we run the risk of losing out on a lot of recruitment by delaying this process.
Yeah, President Todd agreed. There's a lot of moving parts to consider, and again, this was my call. I thought it was a good call to work with Westar Teacher, but you're right. There's a lot of different intended consequences and unintended consequences that could come of it, and we stand ready to do as the board would direct, obviously. But yeah, we do have a job fair Saturday. The next board meeting will be 2 weeks from tonight. We do have a forum later this week, so there's a lot of things going on at once. So there is a lot of things to consider. But yeah, I believe it's 15 working days, Dr. Mahorn, or 15, I'm sorry, 15 business days. Is that?
Days.
15 business days from, I guess, the day of issuance. Is that right, Clyde? That contracts can be returned 15 business days. And Clyde, business days for us, does,
Okay, Mr. Clyde, can you come to the microphone so we can have the recording of it?
yeah, we're a 4-day week district, so we do things a little unique. So what would,
Probably use your 4 days, yes. The 4-day week.
okay.
Okay, so I believe if we look at that, that pushes us out. That 15 days turns out to be, and spring break doesn't count.
No.
So
No,
that
it
pushes us
wouldn't.
out into April. So we're in April for everybody. We're farther along.
It would be
if
my
we-
recommendation that you stay with your initial plan. That they have signed their contracts when they're supposed to. That would be my recommendation. Follow the law.
Okay.
And the policy.
All right. So you're saying you recommend no extension to that campus? Is that correct? You're recommending no additional extension? Okay. Okay, members, you've heard the discussion, you've heard legal's advice. We can amend this again, or we can move it forward. We do have a motion. We do have a second on the amendment.
I'll make an amendment to the motion to approve contract language for initial returning non-continuing, continuing, and terminating certified teacher contracts for school year 2024-25, with the option of an amendment to the contract and not providing an extension for the signature of the contracts.
Okay, members, does anybody have any questions, or does everybody understand that motion? Okay, hearing no discussion, we'll call for the vote by Vice President Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
Nay.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that approved. 3 yes, 1 no. Next on our agenda is item 8.4, discussion consideration to approve issuance of certified teacher contracts for school year 24-25. Did I just do that one? We did language. Okay.
Language was the previous one.
All right, so now we have the issuance, sorry.
That's great. Mr. President, Vice President Parks, board members, it is recommended that the governing board approve the following motion. Motion to approve issuance of certified teacher contracts for 24-25. Administration recommends the governing board approve teacher employment contracts for the 24-25 school year. The teachers referenced in the board documents are in good standing with the district. In order to secure teachers for next school year, it is recommended the board approve the issuance of employment contracts for the staff listed herein.
Members, I'll take a motion, a second, we can discuss if necessary.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve the issuance of certified teacher contracts for school year 24-25 that are listed here.
Second.
Have a motion, a second to approve item 8.4. Is there any discussion?
I just want to make a comment. I'm thrilled to see how many staff want to stay on with this district. There's a lot of names on here, a lot of really good staff, teachers, support staff, and we're just thrilled to see. I am thrilled to see everybody who wants to be in this district and work here. So, thank you.
All right, just a bit of housekeeping. In our previous motion, we did talk about the extension and the contract language. So with that, we have the motion, we have the second. We'll call for the vote. Vice President Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
And just to explain my vote, this is only for the issuance of contracts, not the language in them. Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that item 8.4 approved 4 yes, 0 no. Next on our agenda is governing board comments on agenda topics or recommended agenda topic additions.
Nothing, Mr. President.
Anyone else have anything for the good of the order? All right, hearing none, We will move past 9.1. We will move to 10.1. Our upcoming board meetings. We have this Wednesday, February 28th, a work study public forum for governing board vacancy. We have a regular board meeting on March 11th, March 25th. We have a regular board meeting on April 8th, April 29th, and May 13th. Next will be item number 11.1, adjournment of the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'm going to call your name. Please specify your vote. Vice President Parks.
Aye.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show we are approved at 6:36 p.m. for adjournment.